into a backbone practice. So hop into something comfy, press pause, and I'll meet you on the mat. So whenever you arrive, we're just going to come into a comfy seat. So if you need a towel or a blanket or something just to lift the hips up a little bit, if that makes you feel a little bit more comfortable, by all means just go and grab one. Otherwise, just finding a comfy seat to start with. So you can have the legs crossed, you can have the legs out. If that's a little bit more of a challenge, you can have the knees bent. Like just finding somewhere that you find sort of semi-comfortable in order to start. I want you to think about growing nice and tall, sitting up against a wall here. So the head is stacked over the heart, is stacked over the pelvis. So this is an awesome practice to do in the morning because our back bends are our energizing poses, our Brahmana poses, heating. So we're building lots of energy in the spine. We're releasing our Kundalini, our serpent energy that travels up the spine. It's also just a beautiful way to open up the front of the body and encourage you to take some nice deep breaths into the front of the body. We're really stretching from the sternum to the pelvis. So let's begin. Palms facing down, palms facing up. Whatever the body decides. Maybe if you're feeling brave, feel free to close the eyes. Otherwise, just a nice sort of soft gaze here. Keep the chin tucking in slightly. Keep the sternum lifting up towards the chin. Just take a moment to settle in. And I'm just going to ask just one thing. How are you doing? Take a moment to sit with that question. Really ask yourself that question. What's going on? How do I feel? What do I need to change? What do I need to shift? And if nothing comes up, then that's awesome. But if something does come up for you, take a moment to sit with it. Just check in with the head, check in with the heart. See how you're feeling emotionally. Allow the shoulders to drop down away from the ears. Very often, if you're perhaps doing this practice in the evening, the shoulders have crept up during the day towards the ears. Just see if you can let them go. Allow them to be nice and heavy. Elbows are really heavy, and that will help the shoulders drop down a little. Notice if you're holding or clenching the fingers or the wrists. Just see if you can relax through the hands. Notice the more that you sit here, perhaps the knees start to creep up a little bit. Perhaps you're starting to sink a little bit into the lower back. Seeing if you can find some support, not only from the belly, but from the breath as well. A couple of nice deep breaths. Send it all the way down to the base of the spine. And then as you exhale, allow that breath to travel all the way up and out through the nose or through the mouth. Okay, whenever you're ready, keeping the eyes closed if that feels comfortable for you, we're just going to do some seated cat and cows, so getting right into the spine here. So turning the palms down towards the knees here and just start to lift the chin, just getting into the neck spine so the rest of the spine can stay nice and straight. Lift the chin up. And then exhale, sink the chin to the chest. So just doing some yeses here, lifting up, big breath in. And big breath out, chin to chest. So you can slow it right down if you like. Feel free just to match the rhythm of the breath. Just a couple more. And then we're slowly going to transfer it a little bit deeper down into the thoracic spine. So inhale. Coming up. Feel free to keep the eyes closed or flick them open if you'd like to. As you sort of start to lean back a little bit, get a little bit deeper, round the shoulders forward here on the exhale breath, squeeze the belly in. Inhale, reach the shoulders back. So you're getting right into the thoracic spine as well as the neck spine here. Just a couple more, rounding through. So these are awesome to do at your desk at work. These ones, you know, you don't need to bust out onto all fours to get a little bit of practice through your day. So whether you're sitting at the dining table, whether you're sitting at your desk during the day, just get into the spine a little bit. Nothing helps the energy of the spine like a little bit of soft, gentle movement. All right, so juicing it up a little bit more. Start to lean right forward here. Open up through the chest, reach the shoulders back. Exhale, round through. Hug the belly in towards the spine. Lean back, straighten through the arms a little here. And just going backwards and forwards. Nice, long, slow breaths in and out. And out. Awesome, just getting a little bit of our hip rolls here or shoulder rolls. So staying with the spine here, just draw one shoulder in. Just doing some circles here in one direction. Going as deep through the shoulders as you like, reaching all the way back. Inhale as you come forward. Exhale, round through. Switching sides if you haven't done that already. Nice one, getting right into the hips here, into the spine a little bit. Awesome, and then we'll just ease it off. Okay, making our way onto all fours here, so just turning the feet to one side, and take your time to get there. So really, I know I go on and on about it, but it really is important to set yourself up through your foundations really cleverly. Take your time with it. It really is the key to our stability here, for really learning about where we're placing our body parts and just being really in tune with what's going on in the body. So really kind of an educational process, if you will. Shoulders stacked over the wrists here, hips stacked over the knees, and bust out some cat and cows, lovelies. Draw the collarbones through between the shoulders, maybe looking straight ahead or maybe looking a little bit up towards your third eye center, the space between the eyebrows. And then rounding through chin to chest. Hug the belly in towards the spine here. Tailbone lengthens down. Inhale, rounding through. Okay, you guys know these really well. So feel free to just get into whatever needs to be gotten into here. Super technical terms. But you know what I'm saying. You can get a little bit of a side bend here. You can get into the head and shoulders, into the neck spine here if that's a little bit more into your practice. Reaching all the way back. Get right into that stretchy lower back situation. Inhale to come forward. So really just veer off the tracks here and just make it your own. Move like nobody's watching, which would be funny if it were true for me. Anyway, keep going backwards and forwards, really getting that energy into the spine. You can make your movements a little bit bigger, so grow the movement as you get a little bit more open through the body, as you perhaps get a little bit more brave with your movements, maybe looking over one shoulder towards the back of the feet. Awesome, and then whenever you're ready, we'll slowly make our way into our extended puppy pose. So walking the hands out here in front and slowly sinking the forehead and the chest down towards the floor. So lots of options here for your extended puppy. We're aiming for the hands to be in line with the elbows, to be in line with the shoulders. So beautiful straight lines here. Reaching the tailbone up towards the ceiling, so a little bit of a wiggle from side to side can sometimes help you settle in. If you feel like there's a little bit more space in the neck spine and you're squishing through the face a little, perhaps lifting the chin and placing the chin on the mat rather than the forehead. So see how you go. Breathing in, lengthen the tail up towards the ceiling. Breathing out, exhale, melting chest to the mat. Awesome. If this is super easy and you feel like a little bit more of a challenge today, you can tuck the right toes under. Send the weight a little bit over towards the left knee here as you slide that right foot away, straightening into the right knee. And then you can bring it back in, try the other side, tuck the toes, send the left foot back a little bit here. And then replace that left knee next to the right. Okay, stay here as long as you like. If you're ready to move on, press into the forearms here to lift the head, and we're just going to slide ourselves forward and down onto the belly, coming into our Sphinx pose. So stacking shoulders over elbows here. Again, palms and spread nice and wide, so we're spreading the weight between the thumbs and the pinkies. Hug the lower ribs in, hug the belly. Maybe just looking off towards the top edge of the mat. Pressing the tops of the feet into the mat, maybe the knees will lift. This just really just incorporates the whole of the body into the pose rather than feel like you're kind of just working the upper body and not the lower body as well. So feel free to stay here if you're getting this nice sort of stretch between the collarbones as they open up through the gate of the shoulders. If you wanted to, we can come into our variation of opening up the hip at the same time by just sliding that right knee up to meet the right elbow. Think about the shin being parallel here to the edge of the mat. And if you feel like you're rolling a little bit to the left, press a little deeper into that left elbow to help keep you centered. Just a breath or two here. So you might feel a juicy stretch here through the left side of the outer hip, or the outer side of the left hip. It's a better way to say it. Hug the left side ribs into the body here. If you feel like you're flaring a little bit over to the left, keep yourself nice and centered. And then we'll bring that right foot back down to meet the left and come over to the second side. Left knee lifts up, press a little deeper into that right elbow. Hug the lower ribs in, hug the belly, noticing the differences between the two sides. Maybe there's sort of an obvious stretch over the right hip, maybe through the hip flexor, maybe through the right side of the body. And then we'll slowly bring that left foot back to meet the right foot. Okay, working our way into our Shalabhasana, so our locust pose. So we're slowly just going to walk the hands in underneath the shoulders and then slide them back a little bit to the outside of the rib cage. Keep the elbows tucking in like little chicken wings here. Shoulders relaxing down away from the ears. Okay, so press into the hands here to peel the chest off the mat and then lift the feet. Shoulders down, chin tucking in a little here. Keep the breath going, hug the belly, nice and long through the lower spine. Awesome, from here we're going to take it up to our next level. So we're just going to reach the arms back behind us, fingertips pointing back towards the feet. You can always stay on level 1 if you don't feel like juicing it up a little bit. Otherwise, just test yourself, see how you go. Okay, phase 3, should you feel ready to do it, is to reach the arms out in front. Lift the feet as high as you can, keep the breath going. Really important to keep the breath going. Hard to talk and do this at the same time. Big breath in, lift as high as you can. And then slowly bring everything back down to the mat. Turn the head to one side, rock the booty, left to right. Awesome little booty rock. Why the heck not? Smoothing out the breath. Awesome, when you're ready, coming into your cobra. So this time, hands underneath the shoulders. Oh, little friend coming to join me. Hello, Lila. Everybody, this is Lila. So pat your doggies if you've got your doggies next to you on the mat. All right, but when you're ready, coming back into our cobra. So hands underneath the shoulders, press into the tops of the feet, peel the chest off the mat. Big breath in, big breath out. Hey, Cookie. Okay, you're very sweet. Inhale, pressing up, big breath in, big breath out. Keep the breath going, breathe it in, and then breathe it out. Breathe in, and out. And then when you're ready, tuck the toes under, coming back up onto knees. Okay, resisting the urge to come back into a child's pose here. So just have a little wiggle, just to neutralize the spine. I'm always very careful between coming from extreme back bends into extreme forward bends. So just a little wiggle first, and then whenever you're ready, tucking the toes under, walk the hands back in for your broken toe. So if the little toes, talking about technical difficulties, this is such a good example of going with the flow. She's fine, just leave her there. Okay, so manually, luckily everybody practicing at home, I would say 90% of people have dogs, so you all know the drill. And I bet if you've rolled out your mat in your living room or in your kitchen or in your hallway, your dog is lurking somewhere nearby, so all good. Tuck the toes under, and if anything, it's distracted you from your broken toe. So manually tuck those little toes under if they don't quite reach. Find a little bit of weight here in the legs here so that you can feel like there's a little lift up through between the butt and the heels. And then you can either bust out a couple of wrist rolls here, getting into the wrists a little bit here. You can turn the hands out. Sometimes this can really help to distract you from what's happening in the feet. But if you just feel like coming into a seat and sort of addressing the kind of feelings that are coming up, the sensations that you're getting in the feet, just bring the backs of the hands onto the thighs. Close the eyes again if that feels okay. Just for another breath or two. Breathing deeply down into the soles of the feet. We've been discussing in the last couple of weeks that taking in the full breath into the whole of the body to create this prana in the body rather than depleting the stores that you have. So really take a moment here to breathe down into the soles of the feet. It took me a really long time to work out really what that meant and what that felt like. So don't worry if you don't feel like you know what that means. Just kind of have the intention of sending it really deeply down into the body. Okay, perhaps I've distracted you enough. So we'll just slowly come back up onto knees, untuck those toes, press the tops of the feet into the mat, and that should feel really good. Take a tap out if that feels good here as well, or just press deeply the tops of the feet into the mat. Okay, from here coming into our next bend, we're setting ourselves up for a camel pose. So we're going to break it down into bite-sized pieces because this is really quite an intense back bend, and I really want you to sort of be super safe, but at the same time really learn about lengthening the sternum up towards the ceiling before we lean back. So we're not just crunching into the lower spine here. So really being careful and taking our time with it. So traditionally, the fingers will point up towards the shoulder blades. Okay, but this can be super intense on the wrists and on the forearms, and it's not going to work for everybody. So taking a choice here, whether the fingertips are pointing up or fingertips pointing down, and feel free to try one and then the other. You can always mix and match. There's no rules. So keep the elbows tucking into the body, and I want you to imagine that someone's got a string attached to your sternum and is pulling you up towards the ceiling. So on your next inhale breath, lift the sternum up and away from the pelvis. This is a really long line here at the front of the body. Perhaps looking straight up towards the ceiling, or if that doesn't feel great for the neck, please just look forward. And then take a slight lean back here. Keep the elbows squeezing in towards each other, shoulder blades are squeezing in together. And at the same time, instead of pressing the hands into the back of the pelvis and reaching the pelvis forward, I want you to think about lengthening the tops of the femur bones forward instead. This is going to give you lots of space in the front of the pelvis. And again, we're not crunching into the back body, but rather just sending the pelvis forward, sending the tops of the femur bones forward. So when you're ready, big breath in, lift the sternum up and away from the pelvis. And a slight lean back here. Tops of the femur bones reach forward. Big breath in. And then slowly come all the way up. Just take a seat here back on your heels. You can always have a block or a towel or a blankie or something between your feet in order to find a comfy seat down if this doesn't feel great on the ankles. Take a moment to let everything settle. We're just trying to get the spine back into its optimum position before we try again. A couple of nice deep breaths here. And then whenever you're ready, we'll take it up to the second stage. So again, fingertips pointing down, fingertips pointing up towards the shoulder blades. Feel free to try both variations, elbows tucking in, shoulders down and relaxed. Think about lifting that sternum, the string attached to the sternum here, as we just lean up and back. Tops of the femur bones press forward. Okay, option here to tuck the toes under and perhaps reach for one heel at a time. By tucking the toes under, we're lessening that distance that we need to travel for the hands to meet the feet. So again, looking forward over the chest if that feels best for your head and neck. Otherwise up towards the ceiling, or if you're feeling okay, feel free to drop the head back behind. Nice deep breath here. Front of the body is so open, so take the breath all the way down to the bottom of the belly. And then reversing our way out, lift the head up first. One hand at a time to the lower back. Lifting yourself all the way up. Untuck those toes and just settle back down. Again, take a moment here just to allow all the energy to settle down. Couple of nice deep breaths. But really breaking that one down because that's it's a really intense back bend. It's really going to create a lot of heat in the body and a lot of energy traveling up the spine. So I really want you to be nice and safe because it can feel uncomfortable if we don't find that length before we come back. So feel free to pause the video and keep going. Try another one if you'd like to. But if you're ready to move on, we're just going to sweep the feet to one side, come back down onto our back. So really enjoy the coming down, because it is really a sweet descent. Make your way all the way down onto your back. Keep the knees bent here. We're coming into a bridge pose, so another back bend. Walk the feet up towards the butt here, heels coming all the way in, so that you can reach down and touch the backs of the heels with the fingertips. So palms are pressing down onto the mat by your side for a little support. And I just want you to break this down. We're going to break down the mechanics of this pose. So tuck the tailbone under, so you'll feel the tilt of the pelvis here. You'll feel the belly hollowing out. And then slowly just start to press into the feet. Send the knees and the shin bones forward as you lift the hips bone by bone to come all the way up into your bridge. Really important here not to turn the head. So if you're up in your bridge, just listen to the sound of my voice. Breathing in nice and deeply here. If you feel like you're ready for it, start to walk the shoulders underneath the body so that you come onto the outer edges of the shoulders, and perhaps even interlacing the fingers behind the lower back. You can press into the forearms here and the elbows to help lift the hips a little higher, bringing the sternum up to meet the chin. But lift the chin up and away from the sternum here, so we're still maintaining that beautiful natural curve of the neck spine and not putting too much weight on the back of the neck. So one more deep breath in, lift the hips as high as you can. And then as you breathe out, unwalk the shoulders, release the fingertips, and really slowly here, see if you can go as slow as you possibly can to come all the way down onto your back. Beautiful. Feel free to do that one or two more times if you like. Have a gentle sway of the knees between each one. And then our last pose before Shavasana is a fish. So send the legs out nice and long. Just have a little wiggle of the hips side to side so that you can send the palms underneath the buttocks here. Okay, so snuggle those elbows nice and tight to the sides of the body. For now, toes are pointing up towards the ceiling, and we're just going to press into the forearms, start to lift the chest. So imagine again that string tied to the sternum, and someone's pulling you up by the chest as you just rest on the crown of the head. So you can either lift up a little higher and take the head all the way off the mat, or you can rest really lightly here. There's hardly any weight balancing here on the top of the head. It's all in the elbows and the forearms. Point the toes here. Feel free to lift up one leg at a time to take this a little bit deeper. And then maybe both legs together. Big breath in. Bring the legs back down onto the mat. Lift the head hard to talk at the same time. And rest your way all the way down onto your back. Unwalk the hands. And then we're setting ourselves up for Shavasana. So take the legs out nice and wide. Test whether you feel like the palms should be facing up or facing down. You'll know which one to choose. And then if you've only got 30 seconds, please just take it lying straight down here on your back. If you've got a minute, take it. If you've got 5, amazing. Man, if you've got 10, take a sweet 10-minute Shavasana. Whatever you've got, just allow yourself to take a nice rest here. Get the spine to relax back in its optimum position. Take a couple of nice deep breaths in. I'm just going to bring my palms to the heart here, just to honor the awesomeness in me and know that I recognize the awesomeness in each and every one of you. And I'm truly grateful that you've joined me here on the mat. So just bringing my thumbs to my third eye center for a little bit of sign of respect from me to you with lots of love. Namaste.